Today we're making 2 wreaths from Dollar Tree forms. I'm Brandy and this is Making It My Own DIYs. Welcome. We're going to start with a nostalgic childhood wreath. These are the wreath forms we're going to be using from Dollar Tree. I have 2, one for the first and one for the second project. Here is what is on that information. Surprisingly, it does not have a Halloween tag on it. Just to give you an idea, these are the sizes. I'm going to be using this little thrifted piece that I got because this is going to be a Peanuts wreath. Yes, it absolutely is. I'm going to use parts of this beautiful fabric that I thrifted. Look at this. Look at all of the action and the cuteness in this fabric. And I have plenty to make other projects. I also have a boa that I thrifted. And don't worry about the silver part because I'm going to take the silver strands out later. Here are some little coffee stirrers. I thought might be able to use one of these. And I know that I like these colors for that. So we're going to start by laying out the fabric on the section that is going to be covered. And I am going to just lay this at the bottom, make a little snip, and then I can tear this down. Just pull it, it'll give you a straight line. That'll be enough to cover up the top part of this hat. I'm not going to worry about the brim or the rim of the hat at this point. If you need clamps, or if you don't have clamps, but you need something to help hold things in place while you cut, go ahead and grab some straight pins from your little sewing kit to help hold it in place. I'm going to stretch it as flat as possible. Not concerned about the wrinkles because they will be pulled straight when we glue this down. All right, so I'm just going to cut, and leave about an inch on each side, and that's approximate. You're going to need enough on there that you can, and I'm using, look at that, I'm using my elbow to help me hold it in place. I'm going to leave enough on there so that I can overlap the wire part of the wreath to glue it into place. I'm also going to go ahead and cut this on the bottom. Trim it right off. Y'all, still don't have sewing scissors. For some reason, it slips my mind every time I go to a store to get it. Forget it every time. Now I can take out my pins, or if you need to leave them on the bottom to help hold it in place, whatever you need to do. Most of the time I can hold things down with my hand. I'm going to zigzag some hot glue over the wire part and onto the fabric. And then using my finger protectors, I'm going to just press that down and sort of seal it around my wire wreath. I love the size of these. I've done quite a few of the wreaths using these forms, and I find that for the price, you really can get a big bang for your buck if you are looking for saving money, because, you know, that's what we're trying to do right now in the world. We're trying to save our money and focus on putting it into things like, you know, healthcare and taking care of our bills and lunches for the kids' school and stuff like that. And we can save money however we can by crafting in our stash and, you know, just getting out some things that we already had and using those. All right, so then I'm going to flip this up and I'm going to press it down. This part is going to give me a little bit of a base once we put the boa down. So we have a little extra room to glue onto the fabric. That's why it goes down onto the brown. Okay, it's going to be covered, that section of it, with the boa. So I'm just going to trim my boa down. If you don't have a boa, you can definitely use that garlands, tinsel garland, or whatever it's called at Dollar Tree that's got the skeletons and all that on it. Just choose whatever fabric you like. And then get something that coordinates with it. You can even get fabric at the Dollar Tree that is Halloween themed. Now, whether or not it's big enough to fit on the frame, you're just going to have to check that out and see. You can also use an old shirt for this, an old dress, a pillowcase, you know, a pillow cover, whatever's going to fit. I'm going to use a little bit of a tie here, and this is just a pipe cleaner, and I cut it in half. And I'm going to twist it around. The color really doesn't matter because it's going to be inside and the boa is going to fluff up around it. You won't be able to see it. You can also use a zip tie to hold yours down if you would like. I'm going to pull it across. I kind of push the feathers out of the way so that I am not squishing too much down. I don't want it to sag, so I want to be sure that it's going across and being held into place. Okay, so far so good. The extra fabric down here is where you can add some glue and keep your boa or your tinsel or whatever from sagging. It just helps hold it on there because we're going to be adding some things. Now this is where I'm showing you that I'm kind of removing that out of there. If you buy the garland and maybe you don't, maybe it's ghost and you don't want the ghost in there, just cut them out. Cut them out and use the piece that you have on the strand. You know, use the black or the purple or whatever color you have. I just thought the purple was cute with this and childlike and whimsical. And there is purple on Charlie Brown's hat. So I'm going to pull these pieces off. You can definitely use the little hanging pieces at Dollar Tree that they have that's Halloween themed. This is a bag of thrifted ornaments that I have had over the years. I pick them up when I find them and I put all the Halloween colors together. And I'm going to cut little pieces of my chenille stem. And then those will be used to help attach this down to the wire underneath on the base. If you put too much on, even though they're plastic ornaments, if you put too much on, it's going to make everything sag and droop down. So you got to be sure that you're keeping everything stable. Adding a little hot glue underneath the cap is going to help keep stuff from falling off as well. And then I just have little short pieces of that, right? You're saving your money here too. You're cutting it into pieces. You're not using a whole stem, and it's going to cut down on the bulkiness. So I'm going to go around my boa and onto the top part of that frame to hold it in place. They're going to be a little bit floppy until we get a little more hot glue to put the groupings together. So just bear with me. Twist it on. You see how easy this is? And then I'll attach it on the bottom part down there. I'm just feeling it, trying to see where it's at, and making sure that the ornaments are close enough together that when I glue them, they're going to be in a nice little smooth grouping. You can just cut those off. And you know, you can recycle things from Christmas as well. And, you know, just let your imagination run wild. Dollar Tree also has some very, very nice ornaments for Halloween. I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel if you are new here, or perhaps you've been a viewer who's been here a while and you've never subscribed. Check and make sure that you're subscribed as well, because some people are saying that they thought they were and they were not, or that they were unsubscribed. So just be sure that you are getting what you need from the channel by subscribing. Also, turn your notification bell on so that you will know when the videos are coming up. By the way, I am trying my best to keep on a schedule of Monday and Thursday, which was my original schedule for doing videos on this channel. But recently, last week, we had a family emergency come up and I had to be away. So the entire week, there were no videos. But I am back on track. Things come up. You know how it is, life, right? So when you get your little ornaments together, you can add some hot glue. You want to put your hot glue pretty far down so that it doesn't show and make a mess on the top. And if you get little webs, and that's the theme that you have for Halloween, just leave those little glue webs right on there. I'm also going to add some hot glue in the places that is touching the fabric. I'm going to glue it right down into the fabric. Hold it in place. Now, I hold mine in place longer than what you're seeing. I edit a lot of that out because nobody wants to watch me sit there and hold those in place. Pretty sure, right? Yeah. So here's some more. And there are all kinds of these little ball ornaments that you can get from Dollar Tree with eyeballs and with skeletons. And they even have some that are pumpkins now and ghosts. And just get creative and just go wild. If you want to cover the entire bottom and brim of this with these little ornaments, you could certainly do it. So here's a variety of ribbons I have, and we're going to create a hat band. This is just a scrap of like a burlap type, and I think it came from Dollar Tree, but I saved whatever little bits and pieces I had left, and I'll glue that in place. I want to be sure that I can see it. So I checked first to make sure it was in the right area. And then I'll glue it. Be sure you protect your fingers, y'all. Yes, I know. I didn't do it this time. I was trying to catch up. The edges of this is like a brown color. So in order to make it look a little more high-end, a little bit neater and less noticeable that it's paper, I'm going to use my marker here. Just grab a permanent marker and just go over the edge. And since it's black and the background of the Happy Halloween is black, I think it works great together. Totally up to you if you want to do this in a different color, or if you want to add some stain to it, or if you just want to leave it like it is to save time, you can do that too. So I thought it would be cute to use these on the top to say Happy Halloween up there on the top. Both of them are ready. I know where I want them. And you can either glue it to the frame this way, or you can add some glue all over the back like this and stick it down in place. I think it's playful having it at a slant, so that's why I put it that way. And then rather than using a little ghost stir that I had, coffee stir that I had, I decided to use this, which was in my stash. I think I picked this up this year, maybe? But it was over there in my box, and as I was looking through and I had already cut down my little ghost, you can see it down there, I decided that maybe this wooden one would look a little bit more like the cartoon theme. All right, so now I'm going to grab my ruler, and we're going to cut 2 12-inch strips, 3 different types of ribbon. This first ribbon is a Dollar Tree ribbon. And I believe I got it last year or the year before. Back before it cost a fortune, because you know how it goes. Also, check your ribbons. Public service announcement. We went from 9 feet to 3 feet, y'all, so be sure you're checking. Some of your ribbons are going to not give you enough ribbon, not enough bang for your buck for $1.50, so just be sure you're reading your packaging, okay? All right, so now I've got my 3 different types of ribbon. The other 2 sheer ribbons were thrifted pieces. And then we're going to put dovetails in the ends of all of these. You can choose any type of ribbon that you like, but for me, I thought that the bigger or the larger ribbon, this 2-inch ribbon, would be better. So this is going to be sort of a stack, and I'm going to make it a little more organized by keeping our colors together and just going back and forth. Once you get your bow, and I did that in air quotes, together, then you'll be able to fluff it out and it really won't matter where you put your pieces. But for me, and the way my mind works, I just kind of have to do it this way. So I'm going to lay it on there. And you can certainly, if you would like to, cut the bottom 2 pieces in 12 inches, the next section in 11 inches, and the next section in 10 inches. If you want it to be like that, you can do that. This is just a simple way to do it because I really want you to be able to start your crafting journey now if you have not already done it. Don't be intimidated by wreath making. It is so very simple. Take your time, make it your own. We're going to try to make it as affordable as possible and use some of the things that we already have. I'm going to tie it with some jute right around the middle. And then you can begin the process of sort of forming that bow and fluffing it out. The benefit of the ribbon is that, the wire in the ribbon is that when you bend it and flex it like you see me doing, it's going to hold that form. If you use a fabric bow, it's just going to lay sort of flat. And that's not the look I'm going for on this playful, nostalgic childhood wreath. Flexing it out a little bit, pulling the pieces out in the direction that I like them. Y'all know me, if you've been here, I'm forever fluffing. So I would love to know in the comments below, have you ever tried using one of these hat wreath forms? And if you have not, are you thinking about maybe doing it this year? They're pretty big. I mean, I think this is going to make a good impact on the door. Wait till you see it outside. Yeah, it looks so cute. So now I've tied this on, and I am just going to hold it in place with a little glue to keep it from flopping because it is, you know, they're wired ribbons, so I don't want them to flop around. And then we're going to fluff again because that's my life, a bow fluffer. I love doing it. I love seeing it take form and shape, and there's so many different ways you can do it. You can put a spider in the middle. You can leave it plain. You don't have to put anything in the middle. And I thought one of these little purple ornaments would be really cute right in the center. Add a little something different there. Peekaboo. And this is how long I usually hold them in place. Yeah, it takes a little time, doesn't it? But I'm multitasking. I'm fluffing and gluing at the same time. Now, I've got some strays, and we're going to use that to put a little plume at the top of the hat. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Why not? Is she not a fancy witch? I think she is. If this was the type of hat you could wear on your head, I would rock this thing on Halloween like nobody's business. I would Gen X the heck out of it and just run around like a silly person that I am. I'm going to add a little bit more. I'm going to build it up a little bit. One feather just wouldn't have done it, in my opinion. So we're going to bulk it up. We're going to add some of the ribbons that are, or some of these feathers, blah, blah, feathers, yes, that have some character. They're a little bit broken. They're a little bit fluffy. They're a little bit sideways. They're a little bit witchy. Look at that. And when the wind blows it, that is going to be so cute and eye-catching. Oh, my goodness. So now how are we going to hang her? We're going to take a little piece of twist tie, or a little piece of pipe cleaner, rather. Twist the end of it. Makes kind of a little loop there. We're going to poke it behind that top rung of the wire wreath. Fold it up. You can add a little bit of hot glue there to hold it in place. And once you let that dry, you want to flip it over and take a good look at it. Make sure everything from every angle is exactly how you would like it. Nothing worse than putting it on the door and then somebody pointing out an issue, right? No. Or you recognizing an issue after you have it on the door. So go ahead and give it a good once or twice over. Make sure everything is balanced and exactly how you like it. So today, since the weather was so beautiful, I decided to take this outside and put it on the wreath hanger that my sister bought for me. And just let you check it out in the sunlight. How adorable is this wreath? I love this. Love Charlie Brown. I watch it every year. Even now as an adult, I watch it every year. I enjoy it every year. Yes, it's one of those things that has been around forever, and it still brings me giggles and joy, and I've watched it with all 4 of my children, and my hopes to watch it someday with my grandsons. I would really, really love that. Maybe have a little popcorn party. Thank you so much to the channel members whose monthly contributions help with supplies, of course, coffee, and help keep my business going. We appreciate you. The next is a Moody Victorian wreath. Okay, y'all, get ready for this one. This is the remainder of the pants that I thrifted and made another project with. I'm going to be cutting this out in 2 pieces to fit my wreath. I've got the waistband we're going to use for the hat band, and then the other part for the top. I've got some pieces of black and I guess maybe burgundy florals. These are not the exact same color as the fabric. Not a problem. Not going to bother me one bit at all. Here's our wreath form. This one's a little bit crooked, but it doesn't matter. Clamps are going to help and be your friend in this project. And I'm also going to use a little foam board. Now, you can get foam board, I think, at Dollar Tree. You don't have to use foam board. You could use construction paper or whatever. This is a scrap that I had on hand, so I went ahead and used it. I'm going to put it behind the wreath form, and I am going to cut it because we're going to use this for a backing and a little bit of support for what we're going to do on the inside of this wreath. I'm just going to trace it out. I'm not worried about the tip missing. We're going to repair that. And I started cutting it with scissors, which you can certainly do, but it was so much easier to use my utility knife to cut this. So you will see me switch over. These come from Dollar Tree, and I think they come in a 3-pack. Now, you can't see me up there at the top, but take my word for it. Be sure you protect your surface. I'm not pushing down to cut all the way through. All right, y'all, watch my videos on Mondays and Thursdays at 6. Slim and I patiently am waiting to see you again. Yes, we are. So once I cut through the front, front, I'm going to flip it over and I can fold it and then cut right along that fold. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. And since the wreath was a little bit wonky, I'm going to be sure that I include that wonky little curve in there. And I'm cutting right on the inside of the line to get the fit right. Flex it back and forth. There you can see how I cut the paper now, because really all you're doing is cutting through the paper on the backing. And it will come away. And there is the base for the hat. We're going to flip this other piece over and we'll use it to cut a piece for the tip. Perfect. Now for the tip, I'm going to line that up and I will just cut off that section and then we will snip it and glue it to the other piece. Easy enough. Now we have our backing complete for this wreath. Little hot glue, it's just a little foam on the inside of it. You won't have to do this if you don't use a foam board. If you're using some type of a thick paper, then all you have to do is just tape it together. In fact, if you don't want to use the backing, you could wrap tape all the way around this entire part of it, but that's a lot of tape, and I'm saving money by doing it this way with something I already had on hand, not wasting the tape. So now I have got some black, it's like a masking tape, but it's black. And I'm going to use this to attach my pieces down onto the wreath. This is going to be a little bit quicker than using hot glue. And it's going to hold it in place a little bit better, in my opinion. I've used this technique before and I like this technique. I'm going to pull off pieces enough to go across the rung of each one, pressing down on one side, and then you'll see with this close-up what I'm doing. I put it down, press it with my thumb, folding it over and pressing the other side. It's going to hold it tightly. And I'll go all the way down each one of these, securing this in place. This is easy. You can use masking tape, you can use plain white tape, you can use packing tape, whatever you want to use, and whatever you have on hand, right? Now for the top part, I'm just going to take a little bit of that tape and secure it so that as I'm moving things around, I don't knock that tip off, because we have it glued in place, but you never know. Just squish that up. It doesn't matter what it looks like. I just want to make it strong. And this is reinforcing that to make it strong. All right. Protect that little tip there with a little piece. Perfect. Now, when I get this done, you're going to see that it doesn't have to be so precise, but we're going to have options, right? We're going to have options on this channel. Options and encouragement always. Then we're going to go down the sides. The reason I'm securing this so much is because what we're putting on here is going to be heavier than what we did when we did the nostalgic childhood wreath. So we want to make sure that everything is strong. I don't want anything falling apart and looking El Cheapo on my door, right? So here we go. We're going to take some pillow fluff, and that's what this is. You can use batting, you can use an old pillow that you tear apart, cut it open, pull the insides out. Make sure it's a clean pillow, obviously. And then we're going to start forming this down with some hot glue. We're going to start forming it down on the wreath. I want the top part of it to be thinner than what we are going to put on the rest. We're going to taper it so that when we get towards the part where your head goes in, or the opening for the head, it is thicker on that part. This gives us dimension, and you know how I am on my channel about adding dimension to my projects. I always encourage you to do something a little bit different and not ask permission in crafting. Let's do what makes us happy, right? We don't have to have somebody hold our hand and tell us what to do or reprimand us when it's not, you get what I'm saying here. Let's do our own thing. Here we go. So you can see here how it gets thicker toward the bottom. This is what we want. This is what I want. Let's put it that way. If you don't like it this way, you just certainly don't have to do it. If you don't have batting, that maybe you have an enormous bag of cotton balls. I don't know. We're going to use something, but I like the idea of doing this rather than wrapping it and then stuffing it with tissue, because this is going to give you tissue or old bags or whatever. This is going to give you such a smooth appearance, and with this type of like a crushed velvet looking fabric, the light reflects off of it, and I want it to have that beautiful, smooth, regal, witchy appearance. So here's the scrap I had, and I'm so glad that this scrap fit on here. I'm going to wrap it a little bit, and don't worry, I'm going to cover the tip of it as well. That's not going to be hanging out. Look at those dancing shoes. And as I'm doing this, I left this part in because I want you to see how I was thinking when I was doing it. I don't always leave these parts in the videos because it just seems like a kind of a waste of time for some people. They don't want to see all that. And so people sometimes don't like that. But for those of you who are learning to craft, I want you to kind of understand the process, because I think if you understand the process, it's going to free you up a little bit more to be confident in what you're doing when you do your craft. Okay, if you don't want to do this part, you certainly don't have to. I am going to wrap it. I am not pulling tightly. I'm going to add hot glue, and I'm going to press it down to the back. If your fabric is big enough that it covers the entire back of your witch's hat, then that is great. I didn't have enough. I was using a scrap, so the back of mine is empty. I could always go in there later and paint that black if I wanted to. But mine is not going to be where you can see the back of it. I am not going to finish the back of it or waste my products and my materials to do that, because I just don't think it's necessary. All right, so now we're wrapping the top. I'm pulling it smoothly, but I am not going to pull it tight because I don't want to crush all of that dimension that we just made with that fluff on the inside. I don't want to do that. I pull it, and luckily this is a stretchy fabric. These were actually like lounge pants, I guess. You remember when the velvet tracksuits were so in style? I think that this was probably a piece of a tracksuit. Press it down. Y'all might even have something like this in your closet. It might be something like this in your aunt's closet, in mama's closet. Go see what you can find. Isn't this a beautiful color? After I've got it glued into place, I'm just going to cut off any excess that might poke out in the front and cause any extra weight on the form. It has a little bit of weight to it, but that's why we reinforced that wire frame. That's why we did it, right? All right, then we're going to pull it down, and then I've got a little spot here that is not going to be covered completely with this fabric, but you will never see it at the end of the project. So nobody fuss at me. You are not going to see it. And this could happen to you. And if it happens to you, I want you to know that there are ways to get around that, right? Wrapping this down. And it's really important that you wrap the bottom of it because you don't want your batting or your stuffing to fall out. And I'll do this until all of that edge, the end pieces are tucked and filled in, so nothing gets away from us. When you're gluing something, you can always add clamps. I went back to Dollar Tree yesterday to find more of these clamps, and I cannot find them. But they are doing a big, redoing in the store. They're redoing things and changing stuff and move. There were so many people in that store. I love the store, though, because I have found some good things there. But they had a lot of people in there working hard. So the waistband that I have left is going to make the perfect hat band. It is stretchy. It has some dimension in it. You're really not going to see it when we're done with the project. It is going to be perfect for what we're using. Also, for the brim, since I didn't have any more of the burgundy, I'm going to be using a scrap of black pants that I had. Yes, I absolutely am. You'll barely be able to see this either. Initially, I started by thinking, okay, well, I'll just wrap this with ribbon. No. This is so much better. And the fact that it's a little bit stretchy just makes it so much of an easier project for me to do. So now I'm deciding how am I going to wrap this where it's all the way to the edge and still covering up the entire brim of that rim Brim. It's called brim, isn't it? I'm sure somebody will correct me. I'm going to wrap. And then I'm like, okay, yeah, this is definitely going to work. So I just flip the entire thing over. And I will work from the back, gluing it to itself and onto the wreath form. I know it's black and it's a bit hard to see, but I'm putting it on the wire. And then I'll bend it. And because it's stretchy, I don't have to clip anything. Make sure when you do this that you're not pulling too much, that there's a gap in the front. You don't want there to be a gap between the top of the hat and the brim of the hat. Flip this over, press it into place, and this will hold the top part of that brim in place with a beautiful black velvety looking material. And then I'm just going to start wrapping. This is the back. You're not going to see it. I'm just going to fold it over on itself, wrap, tuck, really easy. And you could also trim it off and just cover, leave enough on there just to do around the wire, to glue it to the wire. Or you can wrap it like this. And I like the idea of wrapping it. Again, it makes it a little bit thicker. It gives it a little more oomph. I'll cut off any excess. And then continue to fold and wrap onto itself. You're just tucking it in. It's going to go right onto the inside, and it's not going to get in the way of anything, and it'll give you a nice clean finish on the back as well, if that sort of thing concerns you. Spare my hands by putting a clamp on there. Ugh, man, I'm disgusted about the clamps. I really want some more of those. When I moved, I think I left them. I left a lot of things at the other house, and I regret it. I really do. I donated a lot of things, and I'm glad I donated what I donated, but there are things that are still in that house that I wish I could go back and get, but that is not up to me anymore. Not my house, right? Not my house. So maybe it found its way to Goodwill and is now in a happy home of another crafter who's very blessed to have found all my goodies that I left. Okay, so we're going to continue along and folding over and gluing it down. Now here, look what a cute brim that makes. I'm not going to glue the front part down because we're going to use that to tuck our florals in. I'm going to glue it. A lot of glue here. A lot of glue because that's thick. And then you can put clamps on them and let that dry completely because we might have to tug on this a little bit as we begin to add our florals. Put that glue in, press it into place, and then once, look at that, look. If you wanted to leave it like that, you totally could. Even with it being the burgundy on the top and the black on the bottom, cute as can be. Cute as can be. Now, this piece I got, I think originally came from Target a few years ago. Love it. I love the feathery look of it, the wispy look of it, and still very regal. And it is like a velvet finish. Love it. These pieces are from a pick that I got from Walmart last year, I do believe. Possibly the year before. Time just kind of, you know how time is. Once you get a certain age, it just overlaps and runs away from you. Then I'm going to start adding my glue, and I'll just tuck here and there. I love that there is black and red in here. That beautiful red color. You could pull your pieces apart. It's totally up to you. But I'm just adding the glue and tucking underneath the brim. This is probably my absolute favorite of all of the wreath forms, the wreaths, witch hats that I have done. Absolutely beautiful. I wish I would have had that black flower in that beautiful burgundy color, but I didn't. And like I said, I'm using what I have. Y'all don't, look, I can't tell you what to do, but please don't go spend $1.75 at your Dollar Tree for those little weak florals. When they were $1 or $1.25, I could understand, but please don't do that now. See what you can find on sale. Go to Walmart, get a huge pick that you can cut down. I just want you to save your money. I don't want you to have any reason to stop crafting. Okay. When I cut that plastic back off, I realized that it was probably going to make the flower fall apart. So I just added some hot glue and a little tiny piece of wire to hold them together. Because sometimes, that's what holds the flower petals together. Little trick for you. If you have some curled up leaves or flowers that you need to press, instead of pressing them, all you have to do is take your heat tool or your blow dryer, hold it in place, of course, without burning your fingers. Be careful. I'm holding my fingertips out of the way. A little blast of heat and you will get all the wrinkles out. Look at this. Look at it. Perfect. So now that we've got the picks together, I'm going to start adding my single pieces down. Now I'm adding the red here because I know my flower is black. And if I add the black on top of black, you'll probably never be able to see it unless you're up close. And I really want to be able to see that. Here we go with my dryer again. I'm going to straighten out one that I've already got on the wreath. It drives me nuts when they flip backwards. I don't want to see the plastic, right? Look at that. It works so well. So I'm just going to add these in here. And I think I add 4. And then we'll nestle that beautiful flower right down in the middle. And now you can see it a little bit better. No, I added 3. And then for the remainder of the brown, I decided to go ahead and pull those leaves on out. By the way, did you see how the hat band covered up the little crack that we had? The little gap? Totally covered it up. You can cover up just about anything with a leaf or a floral, can't you? Then I'll just add these on here or there where, I think I like them. I want to thank you at this point in the video for helping me get as far as I've gotten on my channel. 5 years' time, I'm at 99,000 subscribers. By Halloween, I should meet my goal of 100,000 subscribers and get my play button. And I am so humbled and so very appreciative to have so many people that are on my side and that want to see me succeed. I appreciate it so much. It's been a long journey. And yeah, thank you. Okay, so now I've got these picks, and these I actually found on TEMU, and you can cut them into pieces. They're very feathery and very pretty, and of course, we got to have that whimsy and beauty in our elegant witch piece. And I think this just really does the trick. Again, we're checking it out to make sure that everything is perfect, right where we want it, and I'm going to show you a different type of hanger you can do now. This is with a scrap from the florals that I just used. I'm going to fold that in sort of a V. I'll take some little snips of my leftover fabric, add some hot glue, and then put that leftover fabric right on top to help hold that in place. And this held the weight of my project. It's not really heavy anyway, but it's a little bit heavier than the one we just did. So this is really going to hold it in place. It's still holding. I like to test things out before I give it, show it to you. And it is holding in place beautifully. Check it out, y'all. By the way, that is my backyard. Sure is. Look at this. I love it, and I hope you love it too. Which one of these do you like the best? I would love it if you will subscribe to my channel for more videos. I got lots of Halloween videos out. I adore this one. And by the way, did you like the little cartoons in here? Thanks for watching. See you soon.